that flows everywhere, including in and through us. We say, God in me, as me, is me. And so when we recognize that this power, this presence is within us, we know that we also are good. We are in the right place at the right time. We are open and honest with who we are as we drop our masks and exercise the continuity of being authentic, authentically who we are, with no masks, with no pretense. We know it's a lifelong challenge, and we are up to the challenge. We give thanks that this is so, and together we say, so it is. Amen. So, welcome everyone. And I would like to welcome new guests. Do we have anyone here for the first time? We'd like to welcome you and honor you. Thank you. And I believe, yes, welcome. Those are some of our folks for the Center for Spiritual Living. The Palm Beach, welcome. You know, our name originally was religious science. You know, there was Christian science, divine science, religious science, and we were very happy with that name until people started confusing us with Scientology. Ooh. And as a matter of fact, Bob and I were ministers at the Monterey Church of Religious Science, which was a beautiful, historic building. And a lot of visitors in Monterey, you know, military people, and they would always walk down the road, and we had just had a big sign saying, Church of Religious Science put in. And they would always say, how's your Scientology church doing? And I'd say, we're not Scientology, we're religious science. They go, yeah, that's what I mean. How's your Scientology church doing? So enough of us were having that experience that we decided we needed to change our name. So about 12 years ago, we came up with Centers for Spiritual Living. We thought that was generic enough, and every place could have the same name because all of our centers were having different names. Center for Positive Living, Center for Spiritual Awareness. They were just, everybody had a different name. So we did that 12 years ago, and now nobody knows what Centers for Spiritual Living is. They all think it's some little local place that does something weird, you know? And so we're in the process of looking at changing our name again. But don't ask me what. We spent a lot of money on branding and how to do it. At any rate, I digress. So I'm happy to have newcomers here and new people here. And let's continue to the statement of faith. And if you would read it with me. God is all there is and present everywhere. This is the force of love and wisdom that underlies all existence. So be it. And the affirmation for the week is, I express myself validly as a unique expression of the divine. And so we are now going to have a congregational song, Spirit is in this place.
You are correct. Let's all stand and join together in singing, Spirit is in this place. Let's get the lyrics up there.
We have come together as a family. We have come here as we are. We have come with arms wide open. We have gathered here in love. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is
Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. Sounds good. We sing in celebration. We sing with words of prayer. Sing with words of prayer. We affirm our life as sacred. We declare that peace is here.
Yeah.
Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Raise a roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. Now we have a guitar solo. Anybody want to play air guitar? Here we go. Oh, no. Another 4 bars. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. All right, thank you, everybody. Please be seated. Welcome, everybody. Once again, we're so glad you're here with us today. I'm Michael Beecher, your board president. Let's start today by affirming our Unity of Jupiter core value, which is up on the screen. The core value today is love, and let's say it all together. Whoop, go back, please. Thank you. We believe love is the harmonizing energy of the divine that binds us all together as one human family. And the daily word for today is dominion. We affirm, I claim dominion and direct the course of my life. While I may not be able to control what happens in my life, I am always free to determine how I will respond. Through my divine faculty of dominion, I decide what to think, what to say, and how to act. If a thought of fear or powerlessness arises, I remember all the wisdom, understanding, and strength of God are within me. Whether I'm organizing my day or moving forward after making a life-altering decision, the principle of dominion is always mine to claim. Knowing this, I move through life with quiet confidence. I'm secure in myself and in the knowledge that I am a divine being. I claim dominion, and I feel my life expand into a field of limitless possibility and potential. Today's daily word is inspired by Psalm 8, verse 6. You have given them dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under their feet. And we have a few announcements. The first, most important one, this being the first Sunday of the month, is Birthday Sunday. So anybody who's born during the month of March, if you would please stand up so that we can salute you. All right. All right, let's sing together. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, your birthday. Happy birthday to you. God is blessing you now. God is is blessing you now. God is blessing you. You are wonderful. God is blessing you now. So the announcements for today are, let's talk a little bit about the classes that we have going on here at Unity of Jupiter every week. Monday mornings, we have chair yoga with Susan Ashman at 10 a.m. If you've never done yoga before, if you're older and maybe not as flexible as you used to be, this is a great thing to do. Monday evenings, there's a course in miracles with Reverend Maureen Cullen at 7 p.m. And Tuesday evenings at 7:30, we have Reiki with Sharon, is it Cavney or Cavney? Thank you. Please join us for one or all of these classes. We have some great speakers coming up over the next few weeks. Reverend John Denny, a perennial favorite, will be here on March 12th and March 26th. With music. Yay. And in between those dates, please mark your calendars for March 19th when Reverend Diane Robinson, she will be our special guest speaker with special music by Mike Edmondson. Please come and welcome Reverend Diane with us. I unfortunately will not be here for that. I feel terrible about it, but I'm going on a trip. Anyway, we're going to have a special Diane potluck after the service on the 19th to welcome Diane and to welcome spring. Please bring a special dish to share. The lunch will be from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. There will be tables set up outside, weather permitting. Otherwise, we will be here in the sanctuary, and please plan to attend. And I believe we have a, you want to speak? Take it away.
Good morning. Well, we have Jan Holmes. Will you stand up for a second, please? Jan Holmes is our co-chair for hospitality, along with yours truly. And our first monthly potluck will be the Welcome Spring, Welcome Diane. And Tina, could you open the glass door for a minute so everybody can see the posters there? There are Post-it notes on the door. If you would like to bring your special dish, bring whatever you want, but there's some ideas on the door if you want to take one of those Post-it notes to remind you. And someone, I believe it was Carol, said it would be a good idea if you write your name under where you took the Post-it note, just so we know who's bringing what. But anything's perfect. But we would like some extra volunteers that Sunday morning on March the 19th to come early to help set up and dress the tables outside and the buffet table. We'll also need a few people to help prepare all the buffet and the dessert table. And of course, no job's done until the cleanup's done. So if you'll see me after it, if you can volunteer for any one of those opportunities to serve, we appreciate it. Thanks again, and I hope to see you every Sunday, but especially as we welcome home our former minister, Reverend Diane Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. If you are not receiving our weekly newsletter, it may be that we don't have your current contact information. The newsletter is sent out by email and also posted on our Facebook page. If you'd like to receive the newsletter, please be sure we have your correct contact information in our system. There are contact cards out in the lobby on the tables. So if you want to be sure that we have your correct information and get on the newsletter list, please fill out one of those cards and give us your information. And if you can also, I think Carol in the office can also help you with that. Where are we? Oh, number 5. There is a group of people meeting here on Wednesdays at noon. Join Pam Shostin and our prayer chaplains every Wednesday at noon here in the sanctuary for noon prayer group. Prayer is one of the 5 unity principles, our way of connecting with God. And our Wednesday prayer group is the perfect way to spend your midday with Spirit. And now we're going to enter into a period of meditation. Let's all join together in singing Surely the Presence. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
And so now let's prepare for a meditation, a guided meditation. So you're comfortable doing so, you may close your eyes. If not, you may leave them open. But in this process, we go within. We go within to know the true essence of self. So we leave the outer world and go to that place where we know all is holy, where the blessed I am resides in each one of us. And so when we do so, we calm ourselves down. We feel holy. We feel whole. We feel connected with Source. We know all of our problems seem small, for we are in the presence and experiencing the Almighty presence. And suddenly any problems that we may be experiencing seem small. They are small because we have within us the glory of the Almighty. Who we are is wonderful. Who we are is the beloved. And we are loved and honored, just as we love and honor the Almighty. So we take a deep breath and breathe that in. And we know that the power, the presence resides within us. And we may always turn to it. We may always go within and feel it and know that all is well. All is well in our world, right here, right now. And for this we give thanks, we release, and together we say, and so it is. Amen. So be it.
To close out the period of meditation, let's join together in singing the Our Father. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from error.
the kingdom and the power and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen. Thank you, and let's welcome Jim Shettlrow.
You can play the game, you can act out the part, though it wasn't written for you. But tell me how, when this broken heart, when you're ashamed of playing a fool, one thing can lead to another, no need to sacrifice. Father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. You can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. What you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone. One thing can lead to another. No need to sacrifice. Father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels right, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Oh, shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Yeah, shower the people you love with love. And show them the way that you feel. Keep it up. Shower the people you love with love. And show them the way that you feel. They say in every life, say the rain must fall. The tower above, make it rain. Make it rain. Love, 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 it's sunshine. Make it rain. Love, 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 the sunshine. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. No, I was just hoping I was not going to be sitting up here or by myself going, wait a minute, is it time for me to sing another one? Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, so I chose the title that is, can you hear me? I don't. This one? It's on now. Okay, it's on. Now I can hear me. Okay. So I chose the title because the theme is about authenticity, developing authentically uh, and showing authentically who we really are. I chose the title Dropping Our Masks because we all learn to wear them. You know, but I don't know what religion you, or if any you were raised with, but what most people were raised with, uh, if you were a Christian, is that you were born a miserable sinner. There's nothing you can do about it. You know, it's all Adam and Eve's fault. But if you're very good, if you're very, very good, you might be spared and you might get to heaven, but you're going to have to work your whole life to do that. So we're kind of born, when we get that religious teaching, we're kind of born with the idea that whatever I am, it's not enough, you know. And if it that weren't enough, you're born a tiny little baby. And everything you're not enough. You know, you've got a lot of things to learn. And the first thing that you learn when, as a baby's totally authentic, right? They scream when they're unhappy, when they want something. They let you know it, no filters. And so the first thing they learn, what do you think of when a tiny baby is crying? You know, they have that very aversive cry. They say, you have to do something to stop it. So they hear things like, hush, little baby, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. And of course, they're just being authentic, crying, you know, they're getting their needs met. But all through life, they hear, you know, don't do this, don't do that, be this way, don't be that way, don't be who you really are, don't express how you really feel. You know, smile and be polite and nice, and that goes on into childhood. If you want the kids to like you and play with you, you have to learn to smile and be nice. And you may not always feel like being nice, and you may not, but if you want friends, you have to learn to do that. And each one of those behaviors is like a mask. And it comes from the word personality. Actually, your personality, that's who you show, what you show the world. It comes from the word persona in Latin. That's what they used when on stages they wore masks. And that's, as a matter of fact, that's what the two masks are that show that this is a drama. One's a smiley face, one's a frowny face. That's what that represents. They used to wear those masks. And so when we have a personality, we're saying that's the self we show the world. That's learned to, we have learned to optimize our outcomes. But in doing so, you can also not ever learn to say what you authentically want, need, feel, because you're always concerned about how it's going to be received. So my husband and I were talking about it, and of course I bring up the feminine and how as little girls, I had two sisters, and that was the family of children, and so we were all girls. We were taught to, my father wanted us to be pretty and smile all the time. So that does not lead to learning authenticity and learning how to say when you're not happy and you don't feel like brushing your hair before you go to the breakfast table, you know. and then, you know, we get married and we often, or this is in our day, some of the younger people are much more authentic. They've learned, they've been empowered, really, they've been empowered to speak their truth. But in my era, I just transferred all that power from my father to the husband. And I did try to express authentically what I wanted and needed, and was shut down really quickly. And I just learned that didn't work. And so it actually, you learn that it's very difficult to say what you want, because it's either not going to be heated or, you know, it just causes a fight. So then we start this whole lifelong process of learning to be authentic, to say and ask for what we need, to say what we need, ask for what we need, and expect to get it, like we're worth it. And so this can lead to all kinds of problems, like, you know, we just accept the way things are. So when the Me Too movement came, I didn't say that correctly, the Me Too movement, it was just like lightning erupted, because women could say in 2 words the abuse they had experienced as women, and they just were quiet about it because there was nothing to say to anyone that would be helpful. And so I was amazed at how many, and you could say it without saying the whole story, you know. And I told my son, I said, me too. And he said, you too. Where? I was, well, at the workplace. And he said, well, why didn't you go to the HR department? I said, I never worked at a place that had an HR department, and it was usually the boss that was doing, doing the coming on. So this is really huge for women. And by the way, this month, March, is now officially Women's History Month. Did you know that? Last month is Black History Month. This is Women's History Month. And the theme for the whole year is celebrating women who tell their stories. Everyone has a story to tell, the story of what they really experienced. And you may not even be asking for any change or anything. You just have the nerve to tell your story, because so many of our mothers and grandmothers and they just had to accept this is the way life is, and I have no choice about it. We have to leave our homes and go to our husband's home and give up everything that we knew. And sometimes that's better. Sometimes it's better than what we had at home. But whatever, I can tell you that it can be difficult to speak your truth. And does anybody here know who Brene Brown is? Yeah, she's a wonderful PhD social worker. PhD, master's degree is the terminal degree for a social worker. But if you want to do research, which she did, she got a PhD and does research in these things. But this is what she has to say about it. Owning our stories can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. And what she means with that, owning our stories, is she went through a lot of therapy, and we can get our realizations about our past and ourselves through metaphysics, through study, understanding who we are. And some of us need therapy or choose therapy and find it very helpful. Although a lot of people might get tired of hearing your truth for a while. You become so open about it. I've heard enough already. But it is helpful to look, because most of us are taught, number one, never say anything bad about anybody in your family, and never don't say it bad, and certainly not in public. So you break all those mores when you start telling your story. But that's the only way things can change. Now, I was talking to my husband, then he started telling me about all the ways men are shut down from telling their truth and telling their story. So he's going to talk about that. But I wanted to share a little bit about the women, and that it is a difficult process, and you need to choose where you're going to say it and what circumstances. You need to, you don't need to blurt your truth all the time to everyone. Michelle Obama said, if there's one thing I've learned in life, it's the power of using your own voice. She had to be so careful in that White House. She had to be so careful. She just thought she had to be perfect, And so when she got on the plane to leave, she just broke down and sobbed, because she had to be so strong and so silent during that time. She believed. So, but she found her voice afterwards and wrote a book, and everybody loved hearing from her. So Maya Angelou also said, each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it, possibly without even claiming it, she stands up for all women. So I think that's why that Me Too movement was so empowering. And, we put away into jail, we put into prison some very powerful people that everybody had admired and looked up to, until these women told their stories. I don't want to name names, but you know who they are. Anyway, so, and I'm going to end with Maya, started saying Maya Angelou, I just said her. Malala, do you know Malala? I think her name is pronounced Yousafzai, but she's the little girl from Afghanistan who was shot in the head and then was interred. They tried to kill her. Wasn't it her uncle who did this? Because she was going to school. And that was, he didn't think girls and their religion did not think girls should go to school. go to school. And in fact, that's what they've brought back to Afghanistan. The girls are not allowed to go to school. So she had the good sense and good grace not to die. When she was shot in the head, she recovered, and she goes around the world speaking now. And what she says is, I raise up my voice, not so I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back. So, in being authentically who you are, you join the human race, the female species in that case. Bob will talk about the male species. Yes, you can come up, honey. Thank you. You don't need these, do you?
Good morning. I lost one of my masks this morning to Dunkin' Donuts. I bought 2 cups of coffee, feeling good, feeling very white and very religious and very spiritual. And I went to open up the door, and the top flipped off of one of them, and then both cups of coffee poured down the side of the car and all over me, and I realized, and then I burned my hand. It was like this until Judith did a healing, and it was fine. I want to correct or add to one thing Judith said. She said that she would tell her story to her husband, and he shut her down. Different husband. Yeah. Which means sometimes if you can't tell your story, it's not going to work. Yeah. So we all have our experiences with religion, and one of the most challenging things to do is to be a minister and have to face all of the religious trauma that people have experienced. And there is more trauma through religion than there is often through the prison system. And to give you an example of that, I was quite young, probably 3rd or 4th grade, and we lived in a very, very poor neighborhood, so poor that it was dangerous. And so my parents enrolled me in a Catholic school, and they made the mistake of not telling telling the priest that we were not Catholic. But they allowed a certain number of non-Catholics to come to school. So the nun had me stand up in class, and she said, if everyone here prays for Bob, and if Bob does a catechism every day, he'll only go to purgatory. Yeah. And I went home and I told my dad, who was mentally ill, not a good thing to tell him. He said, I'll take care of it, which scared me more than what the nun had said. He went to work where they made jewelry, and they made all kinds of the class rings that a lot of people wear. They made all those. They also made a lot of the ornaments, or a lot of the things that the Catholic wore, medallions and Virgin Marys and not so virgins and all of that, And so he went to work, and he lifted one of these beautiful statues of the Virgin Mary, because he could do that because he was mentally ill. And he gave it to me. He said, give this to the nun. So I went in and I gave it to the nun, and she looked at it, and she was practically in tears. And then she made an announcement to the class. She said, sometimes there are exceptions to purgatory. I found out at the age of 8 you could buy a nun. But what a message to deliver to children. And the problem is we grow up believing that we're not enough, and it gets reinforced 1,000 times. You're too fat. You're too skinny. You need a makeover. You need a makeup. You need more makeup. You need to be made over more often. You need a better resume. You need to have this. You need to where'd you go to school? Oh, that school. Ooh, okay. I thought you went to a good school. We hear all of these things, all of which diminish us and our value, and then we're also told that God is there for us. Not unless you have a degree, live in the right neighborhood, or the right color, and the right things have happened to you. And even then, when I speak to a lot of people who have had all of those things, they're just as miserable as the people who have none of them. Because misery is not about having or not having, it's about being. I think you people in this group are some of the most extraordinary people I will ever meet. Why do I think that? I could just be to get your favor, but it's not. It's because you're pioneers for God. You've actually brought God from the clouds down into the human heart. That's huge. For a lot of people, God does not live in the heart. God lives in the clouds and has a diary about you that he keeps regularly and accounts for you. And if and the blood of Jesus may be what it's going to take to get you past hell. Wow. And a lot of fundamentalist churches teach this quietly now because it's not as popular as it used to be because people stopped going to church. But when you go into the inner sanctum of the teaching, it's the same message. Have you been saved? And if you haven't been saved, you're going to go to hell. And however many times you hear that and reject that, some part of your heart hurts. Some part hurts that you're being disqualified as a human being. See, what I learned when I joined religious science, actually I joined Unity first, and I wanted to become a Unity minister, and I met a religious science minister, and it didn't take long for me to want to be a religious scientist. It was a good idea, and I loved the teaching. But both of them taught that God was not in the sky. God in me, as me, is me. That's heretical. You can't even say that in a lot of places. And you guys say that all the time. Or you say some version of that. You get that God is in you as a part of you, as an aspect of you, expressing through you. And how could it be any other way? That's incredible when you think about it. And it's gutsy too. It takes a lot of courage to walk around saying, I believe actually God is in me too. Because a lot of people have been keeping God in the sky for a very long time. And people believe in ridiculous, crazy stories. I mean, can you imagine believing that there was a man and a woman who couldn't afford clothes, and they were hanging out in the jungle, and the woman got hungry, so she grabbed an apple and she started eating it, and she became the problem? And then they taught that as a story that was true, and a snake was talking to them. How often do snakes talk to people? I had snakes. They don't talk to people. No, it could be an allegory, but some actually teach it as a real thing, literally. The snake had a vocabulary, spoke mostly English, was on a computer a lot, had Grammarly, it was good. Yeah. It's crazy. We have been taught some pretty crazy stuff, but we got taught at an age when we, okay, that could be true. I'll go out and talk to the snakes. Yeah, sure. I'm not going to eat apples, but and then later, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Wow. And then Steve Jobs invents the Apple computer, but he can only find an apple with a bite out of it. That's sad if you think about it. So the apple has a long history of creating possibilities for us. It's always been associated with the tree of knowledge, which is something that a lot of people don't want you to get a hold of, because if you start asking questions and you start looking at your life, you're going to wonder, who am I in relationship to the universe? Not, am I really a sinner and what have I got to do to get past it? See, there's a fundamental thing that has to happen for us. We have to identify our good so that we can appreciate, express, and allow it, not so that we can avoid bad. You see, some people think that they need to be good in order to avoid bad things happening. They're victims of bad, whether they mean to be or not. If what's driving you is avoiding bad things, you're not being driven by good. You're being driven by your fear of bad things. We can transform that into my aliveness, my goodness, my humanness is all connected to Godness, and we're in this together. Am I going to make mistakes? Yeah, coffee. I waited 20 minutes in line trying to be spiritual, and it wasn't air conditioned, and I found myself being irritated. And then when I got out to the car and I dumped both cups of coffee on me, I said, oh my goodness. It didn't sound like that to other people that were in the area. And I was waiting for a nun to walk up and say, you're going straight to hell. Yeah, that's the fear. We're taught more about hell than we are about heaven in us, the heaven that we are, the good that we are. You are some of the most courageous people on the planet because you're willing to take responsibility for having some godness, some goodness, and not blame it on the devil. You think about people have an easy out. You know, it wasn't me, I was possessed. I looked at her, she invited me to the motel, I don't know what happened. Wasn't me, I'm better now. I have her number, maybe the devil will call again. Isn't that amazing to think that we can blame that behavior on the devil? We could blame it on hormones, that would be reasonable. We need to manage our hormones, but we don't need to manage the devil. We need to manage our good. We need to allow our good. We need to allow our good to become contagious. We can do that, and we do it. You are courageous people, and I want you to know that. And I want you to think about it. I want you to leave here today saying, I'm a pioneer. I'm a pioneer for God, the God that loves everyone. If Jesus taught anything, and he taught a lot, he said, love, love, love all you can, love everything you can, love life. And then some people came along and said, well, he didn't mean it quite that way. He meant love when it's convenient, when it works, when they don't live next door to you, if they're the right color, if they have enough money, they've been to the right school. Well, sometimes even then you can't love them because you can't necessarily trust them. So be careful who you love. But Jesus taught love. He didn't teach hate. He didn't teach bigotry. He didn't teach negativeness. He didn't teach smallness. That's God calling. I love it when God calls. Does that make sense? Do you get that you're heroes? Do you get that you're on a hero's journey? And that's extraordinary. And that sometimes when you're on your hero's journey, it's lonely. And sometimes you can't say things to people about your journey because they won't understand. And that's okay. But it's a sacred journey. It's a special journey. It's an amazing journey. And you have to constantly go back and say to yourself, I am on an amazing hero's journey. And I'm willing to do that. And if you hear contrary to that, that's because people don't understand. They're not on the same journey. Just great to be here. It's great to see you. It's kind of interesting too. Judith and I have been doing our lessons on Zoom for the longest time, for 2 years now since COVID. And I wear a shirt. I don't necessarily have to wear pants. Today I wore pants. Coffee all over them. Next time I come here, I'm not wearing pants. Okay, I went too far. So anyway, I want to end by saying thank you to all of you for being who you are, inviting us to be here, for allowing us to expand our own creativity and our own ministry. If you weren't here, sitting here, do you think I would have had all of the thoughts I shared with you today? Do you think I would have been as rich as I feel today? So you're part of my wealth. You're part of my inheritance. And I want to say thank you for that. And so it is.
He triggered a memory that I was going to share, so I've got to quickly share it. I was raised Catholic, and I had left that by age 18 when I went to college. But I had a reunion of kids that I was in grammar school with. And one of them had heard through the grapevine that I was a minister, some weird group, And so he said to me, Judy, they called me Judy then, Judy, don't you know you could have been a reader? You could be a reader in the Mass. You didn't have to go be a minister of some Protestant group. And I said, but Marshall, they wouldn't let me be a priestess. Which he was a little confused. But that's really true. You could read from the scripture, but you could not be like a priest. So I think I made my point with that. So Michael, you're coming forward to do the next thing.
Doing the next thing.
Okay. Oh, the offertory blessing. Good. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is mine.
All right, thank you.